Hello, this is Andy at Watches to You. I'm going to talk about an Edifice model today. This one is the EQW-M600DC. With this particular one, you've got wave scepter. So when the watch comes out of the box, it's going to set itself to the time that it was preset at the factory. These come in the tin still. A lot of newer Edifices are now coming in cardboard boxes, which aren't as nice. So these are a rather nice one to pick up. And as soon as it comes out, the hands will begin to move and the watch is going to set itself up. And I'll show you what the very first step with any radio controlled watch from Casio is to set the city so that the watch knows where you are. Then it will pick up the signal from the transmitter and set your watch to correct time. It does that. What the watch does is 6 times a day it will check for a signal, and once it's got it, it won't check again. So once per day it'll check up with the signal in the UK, which is known as MSF, and make sure your watch is spot on. Right, we're just going to wait until the hands have finished moving. I'll tell you a couple of the other things that this one does. It's a nice black bracelet on this model, chronograph dials, a date display. It's multi-band 6, which means this has got the best coverage of any Casio. It'll pick up a signal in the UK, it'll pick up a signal from the German transmitter, so it covers the rest of Europe from that. The Fort Collins transmitter in North America it can pick up from, and then there's further 3 transmitters, 2 in Japan and 1 in China. So as long as you're within with the UK transmitter, the optimal range is 500 kilometres from it, which is pretty much anywhere in the United Kingdom, but the signal will stretch out as far as 1500 kilometres, so a lot of Northern Europe you can still pick up the signal from the British transmitter. Right, let's just quick look at mine. There we are. The time's set itself, and we want to check that we're set to the correct home city. If we look very closely at the dial, you can see the names of the cities that are available around the inner edge. Press down the A, which is this button, for 5 seconds. You'll get 2 beeps after 2 seconds, and then you'll get a couple more beeps at 5 seconds, which is what we're looking for. So here we go. There we go. So at the moment, I don't know if you can tell or not, but that's pointing to Paris. So we want it to be London. It's adjusted with this button, which is the D button. And you press it and you'll see the second hand moving around. The hour and minute hands are changing because as we change cities, the watch is attempting to set itself to the correct time for that city. So once we get to London, we'll have the right time. There we go. So we're at London. The watch is now it's a single motor driving the hour and minute hands. So we've got to wait while the minute hand sweeps round to change each hour. As I say, once it's done, the watch will automatically pick up a signal whenever it's able to, and it'll make 6 attempts per day, as I said. This one's, like most of the Edifice range, it's 100 metre water resistant. It's solar powered, so Casio say that as long as you give this watch enough light, and by enough you need as little as 8 minutes daylight per day, that will keep the watch fully charged, and it should last for decades without requiring a battery change. I did a quick bit of research on the internet, and some people were coming up with figures as high as 40 years that theoretically this watch could go for, which really means it's probably going to run for longer than you're going to keep it. You're more likely you'd break it before you you manage to get to 40 years. The other features of the watch, it's got sort of the standard things that you would expect. There's a stopwatch, a countdown timer, an alarm, and it will display the time in world zones. Right, so now that's finished. Time's correct for the UK. Now, if we wanted to, the other operation that you might want to do with this watch is a manual receive. If you've got it out and it's not on the correct time and you want to get it straight away, you don't want to wait for the auto receive signal. You can tell the watch to perform the receive. You hold down the A button for 2 seconds, you'll get a couple of bleeps, and what we'll see is when we do that, the second hand will move down here. There's a tiny R on the inside which is saying receive. So I'm going to have to put the watch down because you shouldn't move it when you're performing that. There's our beep. Second hand's pointing to the R. That means the watch is in receive mode. We're in a building, but it should still be able to pick up a signal from there. The other feature, which we'll try in a minute, this particular model's got Casio's Neo Bright, which is it's meant to be their brightest luminescence. So we'll try that in a moment. In fact, we could try it now. We'll turn the lights down now while we wait for the receive to finish. And you can see that's fairly bright, even at this distance. I won't pick it up because it's performing the receive, but that's clear. You can tell what time it is, even in very low lighting conditions like that. So we'll put the lights back on. It should just be a few more seconds. It can take as long as 14 minutes, and it's dependent on various factors. Casio warn you about some obvious things, like if you're behind a mountain range, that's going to affect how well the signal's received from the transmitter station. And we're in a building, so it's not going to be that fast. We've got quite a lot of metal around us, and quite a lot of watches as well, of course. There we go. Right, the second hand, it moved to the N. Okay, we didn't get a signal in here. Once it's finished at the R, it'll whiz round and it will either point at the yes or the no. If it's at the yes, then it's successfully received a signal and it will return to timekeeping mode. If it's a no, it hasn't received the signal, so we didn't manage to get it from here. Probably, as I said, because we're inside and it's a metal building. If I went upstairs to the office, stuck this on a window ledge so it was near the window, as Casio recommend, then we'd have no trouble. I did have a go with one of these earlier on and it picked up the signal without any difficulty at all. That's all I want to say about this one. It's, as I say, good looking watch. Definitely something that, as you can probably guess, I would wear. I'm keen on Casios myself. And the other thing to note on this one, don't know if you can see it on the back, but the module number is 5193. With all Casios, if you don't want to read this, you can download the manual online, and then the operation of the watch is a bit easier to read than to thumb through. The manual is quite thick. Right, that's all I've got to say about this one. Thanks for watching.